mess, because he knows somewhere in the back of his head that that's what he should have done. He's just incapable of it because he hasn't done it. So.
Pam?
Pierce, what did you find different with Richard as a director as compared to others that you've worked with?
I'm better looking, clearly.
Then John Boorman?
And he's got a lovely body.
Yes.
Of work. I just trusted the guy. I trusted, when you take a leap of faith like this and you go out with a character like this, you have to have faith in yourself as an actor and faith in the man who's going to direct you. And I just had utmost confidence that he was going to know his onions, so to speak, and be direct and be critical and analytical and be supportive of me as a performer and for Greg and myself as a company of actors, and you just leap off into the void and hope for the best, and it's only a movie.
Richard, a couple of minutes ago, was talking about the essence. Well, he was talking about the likability factor in your character, which is an essential component of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you ever play a character that was 100% unlikable?
No, I don't think I have. I haven't done it yet. I haven't stepped into those shoes, or no one's offered me such a part. It will be interesting come the day that they do. But, you know, the world of the outsider, it kind of appeals to me. And there's the world of the killer or the man who's on top of his game, like in Thomas Crown Affair. Those kind of men who are kind of shut down and, you know, have some kind of inner turmoil appeals to me. But I loved Julian. I really, you know, he was just a kind of guy who didn't have any friends. And it wasn't that he was a hitman, that was almost a sideline. And it's just that he finds himself and finds his humanity in this encounter in a bar in Mexico City with another guy called Danny. And finds, like Richard says, finds his heart, finds his soul. But it is a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am, and then the lady behind you.
Question for Greg. Speaking of speaking of likable characters, in previous films we've seen you play the consummate good guy, the really true, honest, good person. And in this film again, it's like with such honesty and truth, you play just a really good person. What was it about this particular good guy that was a challenge for you, a new challenge for you, and can we hope to see you in the future as a really vile bad guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. When I read the script, I mean, clearly Danny was a very, you know, decent, sweet guy, and I worried he was a little too nice, actually, and any time I tried to deviate from that and kind of make him maybe a little darker. I remember we did this movie a while ago, but every once in a while Richard would come up and whisper in my ear, he'd go, "You seem a little angry." So for some reason I kept like heading into some turf that he desperately didn't want me to go into. Angry. You seem angry. And it's true. I mean, it was, I think, a really important thing that he just be as innocent and as kind of naive as possible in order to service what's happening between these two guys, and to ultimately make the decision that he considers that resonate. You know, the fact that how far would you go if there's anything about him that's unseemly? That's not such a big question, and so it was important to kind of keep that all in line. And so yeah, I like that aspect of him very much, and I like the idea of playing a homicidal maniac at some point as well. So we'll look forward to me in American Psycho 3.
Greg Kinnear, as you've never seen him before.
The lady behind.
Hi, Andrea Case, CTV News. Question for the actors on the podium. Can you talk about the facial hair, the mustache? Was that on the page? Was that something, because it suits you?
I'll tell you what happened with that exactly, because I remember this day specifically. I read the script and I was like, well, this guy, it feels like he has it didn't say that he had a mustache. It didn't say that anybody had facial hair. That was not a big piece of the text. But I instantly read it. I was like, this guy has a mustache. I can feel it. I can see it. And I showed up like about a week before we went down to Mexico City. We met over at Pierce's office. We're just going to sit there and talk a little bit about it. I show up. I haven't seen him in like 2 months. I walk in there. Pierce has got a mustache. I got a mustache. Pierce goes, character assassination! So it was clear that we both, for whatever reason, it was bizarre, we kind of had the same sort of response to our characters. So one had to go. I took the bullet. Off it went.
But it came back.
But it came back. Wait, there's more.
Yeah. Actually.
We actually, as we started to consider it, you know, there was never like a great little. We just wanted like the tiniest thing that maybe Danny would have taken from this encounter with this guy, and so that ended up being the thing. And do you remember, Richard? It was like we were getting ready because we were shooting out a sequence. We'd been shooting for like a month. We were getting close, very close to shooting a piece of some scene that would have taken place after I would have grown the mustache. We had the fake mustache standing by, and we were literally in the trailer discussing whether or not
we were like, can we do this? Is it too ridiculous, or is it just the most perfect little subtle funny thing? And it gets a big laugh, which is really, really great when you guys notice.
It's one of my favorite moments when Ferris walks in. And that's all.
But we were literally sitting in Greg's trailer going, can we do this? And we were polling people and like, I don't know. And finally, like, Greg and I are like, we got to do it.
So that happened.
Yeah.
Sir, and then the lady here.
Mohit Rajan's Omni Television. I was wondering, this film is doing festivals now, and Toronto being sort of one of the biggest in the world. How do you feel about the festival circuit? Is it important for a film like this, and what do you hope to achieve being at various film festivals?
For me, it's enormously important because this isn't a 100% mainstream studio-financed movie. It is a little different. It's a little more unique, which is why these people wanted to do it. And film festivals are the perfect environment to do something that's not just straight ahead. And we made this movie, and the whole time I was like, we should go to Sundance. We should go to Toronto. This is these audiences, if they're not going to get this movie, we're really, you know, this is a great place to launch our film. And we went to Sundance without a distributor. And it was the first time we'd ever screened it, and it was amazing because we sold the movie, you know, and it was a great feeling. But festivals gave us that exposure. It's given us a critical exposure. And as a filmmaker, I mean, I can't speak for these guys, but for me, it's a blast. I mean, this is, you know, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of dark days trying to get a movie made. And this is a little bit of the reward for it, is getting to meet other filmmakers and showing your movie to people.
But a festival audience is an animal unto its own. Now, if you do Sundance and then Deauville and then Toronto and then, I don't know if you did Venice, can you compare those crowds? Do they laugh at the same moments? Do they cry at the same moment? Do they react differently?
Well, I think a crowd feeds on itself. In every screening of every movie, it's a different vibe. Sometimes certain lines get laughs, sometimes they don't. We screened the movie in New York and we screened it in New Jersey as a little test for our marketing, and the laughs were in totally different places for a lot of the movie. They were still laughing. Well, in the very beginning, they didn't know whether they should. In New York, they knew that they could laugh at Pierce painting his nails, but in New Jersey, they couldn't know until Greg saw him. Once they saw the movie through Greg's eyes, they started understanding the humor and understanding that it's okay to laugh at this. So it's interesting. I think every audience is different. Certainly showing it in France at Deauville was with subtitles and seeing how they were going to subtitle margaritas and the whole thing. It was just it was quite an experience. I went directly to the bar.
Madam?
Isabel Inclán, I am a Mexican journalist.
Hi.
This is a question for Richard. How you work in Mexico? I like your movie because you show another face of Mexico City usually the people said, don't go there because it's dangerous, many pollution. But at the movie, you show another face of Mexico City. You like that city?
Well, I made a little $1 million thriller called Mexico City, which was a dark kidnapping movie. And I wrote the movie having only gone there once. And I went down and I made this movie, and I had the most unbelievably great time while doing it and met so many wonderful people that by the time we were finished shooting the movie, everything in the movie was wrong. So I had somehow made a movie that was completely false, based on having not spent any time there. And after I was done with that, I'm like, I'm going to write another movie that takes place in Mexico City and get it correct, because it is a spectacular place. So that is one of the reasons the movie takes place in Mexico, was from my experience there the first time.
Did you keep a journal? Did you do that journal thing?
I didn't do it for this movie.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I was working too hard.
We were really close to going, and we were pretty close to going, and I looked on the internet, I looked up Richard, just, Googled it or whatever, and he kept a journal from his previous movie-making experience, but I didn't realize it was from the previous movie, so I'm reading his journal, and it's like, the financing has fallen out of this piece of crap again, and every time I was reading these big paragraphs of like this, the tragedy and the difficulty of making this movie, and of course it was for a different film as it turns out. So,
Ma'am?
Greg,
yes.
what was the most exciting scene and in what sequence for you?
Most exciting scene?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were all the ones that I wasn't a part of. No, I don't know.
The lady, the dog, and myself?
Yeah, of course I wasn't invited to this. Walking through lobbies.
The happiest dog in Mexico.
Margaritas, I think
Now for lunch.
probably the bullfight sequence was pretty fun. As much as it was kind of a little trickery in terms of how we did it, but a lot was going on there. We had it seemed like a few thousand extras. It's an amazing ring. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, in Mexico City, and the biggest,
largest in the world.
Yeah, largest in the world. It's unbelievable. I mean, you walk into this, through the door into this place, and it's pretty breathtaking. And then we were lighting things on fire, and federales are after us, and it was all a very fun sequence.
I actually said to the guys, I know that we're about to do a 10-page dialogue scene, which on any normal movie would be 2 to 3 days. And I said, we're going to have to do all 10 pages in one day so that we can do the scene underneath the stadium in the bathroom and all of that correctly, because we don't have a lot of time. So 10 pages and action. And it was pretty unbelievable that they did it and were so great.
Yeah.
How about you, Pierce? How about you? What was the most exciting?
Every day was an exciting day to make this movie. I just had the time of my life playing this character and skewering what had gone before, and just playing opposite Greg. I was a huge fan of the guy's work, and the man can turn his hand to anything. And there was a graciousness there of playing the scenes, and the people of Mexico City, just the sheer passion they gave us, and the respect was there for everyone every day of playing, and that's when you feel safe as a performer to risk and try and fly high and wide.
I'm afraid our time is up. Thank